Hello, hey. Oh, never mind. It unmuted it for you. So when the intro plays, it mutes us, but then I added us back to it and it said you were still muted. So I just messaged her, was like, unmute your mic. But it was fine. It just unmuted you to begin with.
Hello.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the return second episode, technically, but also just continuation of now it's entertainment with Ler Deeds. We do have our own separate YouTube and podcast page and everything. It's no longer under This Is Noise. It's still under This Is Noise, but it's not on This Is Noise's channel. So now we have our own thing going here. And now we have our cool intro and shit. So
our channel is adulting.
Yes. And we've got our new intro, which took me entirely too long to figure out and get going. But we're here, we're back, we are getting shit done. And today's we're just because we're getting better and better with having plans of what we're actually using, like what we're talking about in each episode, because we do go off on our tangents, but like we've been good about it. Like mid episode, we kind of like go off on a tangent and then like circle back into
better, at least.
Yes. So we definitely wanted to what do you want to start? What did I say we wanted to start with?
Mighty Ducks getting a season 2.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. The Mighty Ducks Game Changers getting a season 2, which brings the possibility of a Russ Tyler, because I know Keenan did mention that in interviews. He was like, if there's a season 2, like I can, like I'll try and find time to do it. So that's dope.
And I can only assume that if NBC lets Keenan do it, I can only assume that they would let Joshua Jackson go do it as well.
Yes. I know that's a big thing we talked about with through that first season was Joshua Jackson coming back and also getting Keenan to show up with that, because the biggest gripe is that OG that OG Russ Tyler jersey that happens to be kid sized.
I don't.
I love it. I fucking love it.
And it's not even like, okay, it's not even like I can quote the movies verbatim. It's not like I'm this huge mega fan of the movies. Like there's definitely people who are bigger fans of the movie or just bigger super fans of the movie, than I am. But I've seen all 3 movies multiple times, and I do not ever recall seeing an OG Russ Tyler jersey.
No, I'm pretty sure. When he shows up in D2, it's just the white jerseys.
They at that point they've switched to the. Well, aren't they wearing? Don't they wear Team USA jerseys for a time and then switch to the Ducks jerseys?
Yeah, I think it's like end of the second into the third period. They come back from the third period, waving an American flag, wearing the jerseys, or that's at the end.
Which now that I recall, like, isn't that like a trope throughout isn't that like a trope throughout all 3 movies? Like, don't they get the OG Ducks jerseys like before the last game?
Yeah.
And then they go from the USA jerseys and they switch to the Ducks jerseys.
Yeah, because it was the same.
And then
in
they
D3.
do it again in the third movie.
Yeah, because it's the big game in the third movie, which is such a drop too. If you think about it, they just went from playing like the junior summer games, basically the Olympics of Pee-wee hockey, to then their big game at the end of 3 is varsity versus JV. That's their big game. And it was the same thing. It was third period. They come back and the coach finally like decides, he was like, nope, You're going out there as Ducks. Quack. Like, it's like, okay. But I mean, hey, listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I mean, we've never our only real gripe was the fact of like obviously, seeing obviously, and we know with the personal issues with Goldberg in real life, but like not seeing Goldberg's name on Coop's jersey, but seeing his number, and then seeing the Russ Tyler jersey. But we had zero complaints about them coming back in the third period. Like, oh, there were the OG Ducks jerseys. We didn't give a shit about that. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep it going.
I mean, because you knew that's what was going to happen. You knew that's what was going to happen. He sets it up in the first episode. Like, after he gets the team together, he's like, yeah, and then we're coming for your name. And then when they forfeit the championship game, and then the game they play becomes for the name rights, like, they're going to switch.
At the end of the third period.
I thought maybe Bombay would have sprung a couple bucks and like got or like just ate a couple bucks because he's got the fucking shop or whatever, and like I don't like made them new, but no, they just pull out the old OG. But you knew there was going to be a changeover to a Ducks jersey of some kind.
Oh yeah, and also I think does someone get? Do you remember? I don't remember. Does somebody get injured in 3? Someone gets injured in every single adaptation of the Mighty Ducks from the first one all the way up. Someone's injured every time. Most of the time, it's Adam Banks. I believe in 1 and 2, it's Adam Banks that gets injured, and then in 3, I think because I think I read that it's the only one he doesn't get injured in, but I think someone else gets injured.
Is it Charlie?
It might be. I don't remember but
because isn't there a point where they like isn't there a point where it's like Banks, because it's okay, don't chastise me because I know it's 5-on-5, but isn't it technically 6-on-6 with the goalies? Or is it
technically, yeah. No, you're right. Because you got you got 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, and a goalie.
So like, isn't there one point in 3 where the line is like Banks, Tyler, Fulton, what's the other Bash Brothers name?
Portman.
Fulton, Portman, and Goldberg on defense, and Cat in goal. And Charlie sits out and continues that whole like, oh hey, you're a pretty good coach.
I don't remember exactly, but I remember there was definitely things where like through that third movie that just made like 0 sense. Not just the whole thing, like the legality
third Bash brother. With Goldberg, because like they make the whole thing like, oh, Goldberg may have second life as a defenseman because Goldberg's good, but the Cat's better.
And what's it called? It's not, because I remember reading this. It's the D3 was the first movie out of the 3 that Adam Banks doesn't get injured in the final game, but it's Guy Germain gets injured in D3. And then of course we've got the one girl in Game Changers that gets injured right before the final game. So again,
which causes them to just straight forfeit because apparently they don't have enough people.
Yeah, and I mean that's, like I said, that's the formula for the Ducks is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just keep giving Bombay a lesson to learn, and
that he can then teach to the kids while he teaches them other lessons. Yeah, no, the formula works.
Oh yeah, so I'm actually going to be probably upset if season 2 is not the same way. If I'm being perfectly honest, story-wise, it might not make sense, but I might be upset if someone's not injured in that last episode in the final game, and they don't come out and do like I want. Let's see you come back out with now the next Ducks jerseys, not the ones they're at now. Bring me the OG Anaheim Ducks jerseys in this end of season 2. That's what I want.
Yeah, see, I don't know how that's gonna unless they're just like, all right, we're really gonna follow the same formula. Season 2, Junior Games, and it's the same thing. They go from the USA jerseys to fucking. This is where they run into Russ Tyler, because they'll find some street kid doing the knuckle puck, and Bombay will be like, I've seen that before. And he'll be like, is your last name Tyler? And he'll be like, how'd you know? And then Bombay will be like, I know your dad. And the kid will run away scared because some white dude is like, I know your dad.
I heard somebody at my door.
Oh, all good.
I like panicked for a second. I watch a lot of weird shit like in the middle of the night, and I shouldn't be doing it. I don't know why. I'm like,
oh, dude, I watch a lot of crime shows. Like, I know 1,012 ways that my fiance can kill me and get away with it.
Like,
I only know like 3 ways I could return the favor.
Yeah, true crime doesn't bother me, but like anything paranormal, I'm super weird about this. Anything paranormal in any way, shape, or form, which like I'll watch movies that are like with ghosts and shit like that, but it terrifies the fuck out of me. And here's how I look at things. I will on air be, if you want to fucking debate me in the comments, go for it. I believe aliens exist, just not to a Tom DeLonge level. Like I'm not like I don't think I'm getting picked up and getting probed. Maybe I am. I don't know. But also, like ghosts and things like that. Too, which also watches somebody else's video. It popped up on my feed where someone was like, "God, not all ghosts can be malevolent, because if they were, there would be no white people left." And I was like, "Ooh, that's an extremely good point."
See, here's the thing. I was going to say, I believe in the Star Trek philosophy. I believe that the alien races have already formed a federation, and that they have been here observing us, and they're waiting, and they just keep getting disappointed decade after decade.
Just like my parents.
Anytime it maybe seems that like, all right, maybe we can finally let them, and America's eating its own face again, and. Yep. And the UK is smelling its own farts, and Australia
it's just Australia.
There's some creepy shit in Australia. They're probably the most equipped for space and the crazy shit that you'll see in space. But yeah, Africa with its turmoil, the Middle East with its turmoil. Like every time it maybe we can let Earth in. Are we gonna let Earth in? No, we're not gonna. No, it's probably gonna be another like 2 or 3 decades.
There's no representative in the Galactic Federation for Earth. they have not allowed him. All I can think of right now is in the Simpsons.
No, we have
what was it, the Iron Hammers or something?
We have a proxy. There's someone from the Federation who's a proxy for us, who's essentially just like, all right, so. Like, let's be honest, like, yeah, we want them to join, but there's really no need to bring them into a fight. So there's nothing worth. They haven't gotten there quite every time they make advancements. They just end up using it for porn. So.
Not even on. I love that. Not even does it just jump to like war or destroying themselves. They keep using it for porn. We can't figure out why every time they gotta stick their genitalia in something every time we make an advancement. And not
to mention all the war and all the famine, and every time they take a step forward or 2 steps forward, they take 3 or 4 steps back.
And of course, you got to think of like the comedic, stereotypical scientist. Extraterrestrial is like he's the one that keeps coming back and observing, going back and going, I don't know. There was a whole video of a dude sitting on a mason jar. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what keeps happening. I have no involvement. It just keeps happening, and we
Like,
just
look,
keep watching it.
Look, their entertainment is top notch. They have some brilliant minds over there. They have some. Their art is extraordinary, but a lot of the people on that planet suck. So I suggest we still just keep a Federation satellite over so we can continue watching Friends on the cheap.
Oh, these poor bastards watching Friends. That's why they won't come down here.
No,
Keep watching
no. See,
Friends.
it's my belief that if there are advanced beings on there and like there is a Federation that's watching us, my belief is that as long as they're not like so like evolved past the point of like like if they still enjoy entertainment, I bet you dollars to donuts that
they're watching Matt LeBlanc.
I mean, if not like they're watching Earth shows. Whether they're sitting there and laughing at Friends and being like, and they were on a break, and getting the jokes, or whether they're like sitting there watching Doctor Who, being like, "There's no aliens that look like that."
I was about to say, I feel like they're watching because to go even further back. I just watched Euro Trip again for the first time in like years yesterday, and now all I can think of is that like even though they're an advanced being, they're still behind television wise. So like they're just getting John Lithgow and Third Rock from the Sun, and they're sitting there going, "Who the fuck wrote this?" Like that's not what I look like what like all of us do. We're like, there's no way. That's not what I look like. Why is that like that? It's the same thing. It's like, who is this John Lithgow? Why does he talk like that? We talk normal.
Or I just lost my example. Damn it. It was right there. And it flew the coop. Or I got it. Okay. Or they're sitting there and like they're watching some shit and they're just like, who told them? Who fucking told them? like someone just in one of the Alien movies just got something just like way too accurate where they're just like, who let Kritark, was it you? Kritark, why are you telling the Earthlings about us?
So all I can think of now is what's it called in Megamind, where it's like, I know where your hideout is. How'd you find my hideout? How did you find the hideout? It's one of those. They're just like, how the fuck? Wait, how did you guys find out about it? Like, get real quiet. But it's funny, like that all right. So I'm it's really funny because when it comes to the ocean and space and paranormal shit, right? I'm very intrigued. I'm very interested. I've watched episodes of Ancient Aliens going, huh? Like when it like not like the weird shit, like it had to be aliens. More so like how did we build sure, who came up with the idea to build the pyramids that way and like the way everything's spread across the world. That's the stuff that interests me, but I treat this like wasps. And here's what I mean by that is I believe in it. It's there. I know it exists in my heart. Stay away from me and I'll stay away from you. That's just the way, it's an unspoken mutual respect with me, and everything outside of my realm of belief is you're there. I know that. Just leave me alone and I'm going to leave you alone. Do whatever you want. Otherwise, you want to wake up and choose violence, you do it. Oh, do it on the other side of the trailer park. Don't bring it to me.
So look, we can debate the pyramids because apparently Mythbusters like prove that it obviously would have been backbreaking, people killing labor, but it was humanly possible for them to build the pyramids with the fucking schematics that they found and like the hieroglyphics on like how to do it and shit. So like we could debate that, but like what gets me on Ancient Aliens is when like in the early episodes, like before they really started digging, when there was like at least a good chunk of shit where it's like, no, this is crazy, interesting stuff. And then they just started getting like, they just started digging themselves deeper into the wormhole, trying to find the bottom of the iceberg. But like how there's just like ancient, like what looks like fucking ancient airways.
Yeah.
And like all of it, like that is obviously like some of that shit, like that's obviously a fucking landing strip of some fucking kind.
Mm-hmm.
In multiple fucking parts. That's where I'm like, okay, why? And if it's not, what were the ancient people doing that we don't know about?
I feel like too when it comes to that stuff is it's the same because obviously my big everyone's like happens to have like their own period of history that they're interested in, and I've realized it doesn't matter who you are, everyone has one. Whether you're super into it, you're intrigued enough to have a little bit of knowledge by it. Like you don't have to be a master historian, but you're like, I'm really intrigued by the World War II era. Cool, and like a little bit, a couple nugs of information that you're like, that's what I find the most interesting. Or if you're like me, where you like delve into that kind of thing, thinking back to like, where like hieroglyphics and the same thing with like Scandinavian cultures. Nobody wrote anything down. All you have are however they spoke their language or told their stories. And then we're just kind of interpreting it certain ways as as life goes
Yeah.
on, where it's one of those things where like, oh, I think my favorite theory when it comes to ETs and coming down is exactly that. Like that's why we see like, and especially with Egyptian being the big example, got your like Anubis gods and all these things, and like same with kind of Christianity a little bit with the angels coming down and these like these beings of light and all of that stuff. And I like the theory that they were here, they were alongside humans, and then it got to a point where it's like, oh, and exactly that they brought some advancements, and all of a sudden everyone just started fucking each other up, and they went, you know what? You're not ready for the rest of what we're going to give you. We're going to bounce. And when you're like, they basically, it's like you're in a timeout. When you're ready to accept responsibility, you can come out of timeout and we'll come back. And we've just not accepted responsibility. We are in a permanent timeout at the permanent, indefinite timeout.
Well, if it is that theory, it's we've forgotten, and you can't get enough of the conscience, the group conscience. That's the social conscience. You can't get enough of the earthly social conscience to agree on it. So yeah, I'm of the belief that it's either, like I said, like either we're our own species and there's a federation watching us, or I do like the mission to Mars theory, that Mars was the planet, it was advanced, but then it was dying, so they left, and they left a seed on Earth.
Oh.
Have you never seen the movie Mission to Mars?
No.
Oh, dude, no. Gary Sinise.
Oh, is that the one that's based on the Disney ride? Or it is the Disney ride's based on it?
Yes.
Because I remember Gary Sinise. All right, because I remember going to Epcot once. Once I've been to Epcot, and that was when I was in choir in high school. We went for like the Christmas thing, so we went, and we went on space, Mission Space or whatever the hell the ride's called, which is just basically a simulator. And Gary Sinise is the one telling you, he's like, "Here's what you're gonna do. You gotta land. Yep. You gotta land this ship." And I was like, "Why is Lieutenant Dan yelling at me right now?" Like, bro, I was 19. I don't know how to fly a spaceship, Gary Sinise.
So like So in Mission to Mars, and this is going to be like just like a quick, because I haven't watched the movie in a couple years, but essentially, a team gets picked. A team gets picked for a mission to Mars, and it's a 4-person team, and Gary Sinise gets left out. There's a multitude of reasons. and if I'm remembering correctly, the main reason is because they chose Gary O'Connell is one of the astronauts. And then it's two other dudes and a chick. And the chick and one of the dudes are a married couple, and that's kind of like one of the reasons that they got picked.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because like the idea is that if they're going to Mars, like to start repopulation as quickly as possible when, or because I forget what the mission was supposed to be or whatever, but they were, or maybe because it was supposed to be, it was going to be such a long journey. But this married couple's chosen, Jerry O'Connell and this other astronaut. The married dude ends up dying, and him and Gary Sinise were best friends. So then Gary ends up getting on the mission, getting on the mission. But he wasn't originally chosen because he has like a wife, and I think he's got kids. So like it was the whole thing like, how are we supposed to send you on a mission that could like take like 2, 3, 4 years? You may not come back. Like we're sending them because they're going together. But whatever, dude dies. Gary Sinise gets on the mission. They go to Mars. Shit goes wrong. They find out that they find out that there is alien life on Mars, and there's this whole sequence where like they meet the aliens and like they show them the whole story, and then like the aliens are like, you either need to come with us or you need to go now. And like the one guy is still still at the ship. I forget it. I think that's Jerry O'Connell. I could be wrong. But one of the male astronauts is still on the ship trying to get the ship ready to, or they're trying to get some old like pod because like their shit got fucked up. And I feel like I'm misremembering this because there's a scene where one dude sacrifices himself. Whatever. Maybe it was a group of 5. I forget. But someone dies in space by like pushing himself off, and then he like takes off his helmet and just like instantly kills himself. So he's not like floating in the void of space until he fucking suffocates.
All right. So real quick, because I just pulled up the cast of this movie. And your main, which I believe you're right, I think it is a team of 5 going off of the main cast here and what I'm seeing in the.
Am I misremembering? Is Don Cheadle in this movie?
Yes, he is, and that's
okay. Okay.
It's all right. So it's Gary Sinise, Tim Robbins,
Don Cheadle,
Don Cheadle, Jerry O'Connell, and then Connie Nielsen, who played Queen Hippolyta in the recent Wonder Woman. And she was also in Gladiator, and then Peter Outerbridge, and I know that fucking name, but I
know that name too.
Like I can't, like I gotta pull this up because I know his name, but like his top 4 things on the top of IMDb, I have no idea. I'm like, I haven't seen those. I'm like scrolling right now just to find something. I know. Why do I know this name?
But yeah, so sorry. It's a team of 5. Don Cheadle is there. See, I wasn't sure if my brain was just doing something where it's like, and Don Cheadle was there.
where we're just inputting Don Cheadle into movies just because it's Don Cheadle. It has nothing to do with race or anything. It's Don Cheadle, so we're gonna throw him into this
Don
movie.
Cheadle makes everything more awesome. So yeah, my brain would just automatically want to just put him in movies that he's not in because he automatically makes it 2 points more awesome.
Which also I don't know if I've brought this up to you when I was binge watching all of the reboot of DuckTales, which 10 out of 10, by the way. The show was fantastic. And with all that
this is what I've heard. Like I heard it was very critically acclaimed.
And
audience acclaimed.
And they did the smart thing. They probably could have kept this going for seasons upon seasons of this show. They said they were like season 3. That I don't think they got canceled. I think they were like, we're done. we're not
Yeah.
doing past the season 3, which was one
Well,
of the
at
most.
that point, I would also not be shocked if it was just getting a little, because like, yeah, obviously you can get these great actors for like a little cheaper than normal because it's voice acting, but obviously as more time goes on, like their pay has to go up. That's how shit works.
But when there's a moment where Donald does something, it happens like twice in the whole
Billy,
series.
stop.
Where Donald, like, because obviously no one understands him, but they give him something to be able to speak normal so they understand him.
And it's Don Cheadle.
And it's Don Cheadle. And it's one of my favorite things that any show has ever done. Not just for the sheer fact that it's Don Cheadle, but because his name, it's Donald Duck. So you get Don to play Donald Duck. And I love every second of it.
And that cast on top of it, it's Bobby Monahan,
Ben Schwartz,
Ben Schwartz, and
Danny Putty,
and Danny Pudi,
and David Tennant as Uncle
David
Scrooge.
Tennant as Scrooge.
I can't remember the one girl's name, but she's playing Velma in most of the recent Scooby-Doo adaptations. I don't remember her name though.
Kristen Cavallari.
Yes. She's in it. There's a bunch of, you got Jason Mantzoukas, who is in like everything nowadays. There's so many like side characters that, of course we get why am I blanking on it? It's Jim something. He was
Rash?
No.
Gaffigan?
Oh, Jim Rash is in it. I know that.
I love Dean Pelton.
He plays he plays like a scientist that works for Scrooge.
I love Dean Pelton is one of the greatest characters to ever grace television.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is in it, and he plays Gizmo Duck.
I'm sorry. I love Lin-Manuel.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have yet to be disappointed by anything.
The Hamilton soundtrack still gets played regularly in my house. Not as regularly as it once did, but it's still in I'd say quasi rotation.
Jim Cummings does come back as Darkwing Duck, and then he becomes Negaduck. And the actor has a super Greek last name, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but he played the camera guy in the last few seasons, or the last season of The Office, like the camera guy that wasn't supposed to talk.
Oh, you mean the boom guy?
Yes. Yeah, he plays Darkwing Duck. Stephanie Beatrice comes in for a little while. They got so many people to come on this show, whether it was one-off or it was like a big part of the story. And I was not disappointed at all. Especially like it was a big community reunion for a lot of it too. I don't think Britta was in it.
Those rumors keep rumbling that movie's in the works.
That we're finally gonna get our movie.
Well, apparently Harmon has an idea that's percolating, and he says that he's messing with it. And I guess like I don't know if like I don't know if maybe he's thinking that like the time is now because it can really only go downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Popularity, like there's only so long before it goes back to just being like cult, because I know like it was in the top 10 on Netflix or Hulu or whatever. I think it was Netflix for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was one of those shows that people were like Community, and they watched it and they were just like, why didn't I fucking watch this when it was on? And you know what? The 4 million of us that were watching when it was on are wondering where you fuckers were too.
Yeah.
We could have used you.
I don't even remember it. Because I watched Community in recent years, but it wasn't because I didn't watch it when it was on TV. I had to have been something else had to have been on in like primetime television at that time that I didn't even know. Like I didn't even know Community existed. As far as I knew, Joel McHale was the host of The Soup. That was it. I didn't know he was in a show. Like I didn't know anything about it.
I'm pretty sure for its entire run, it was on Thursdays on NBC. So it would follow like The Office and Parks and Rec, or like I think sometimes they tried to sandwich it in between.
Yeah, there was a whole they did like a promo for whatever that whole chunk of time slot where all three casts did like some song. for like an NBC promo.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Those
I'll
things can
find
be
it.
so cringy sometimes.
This is good though. It's probably one of my favorite promos because it's just like it catches you off guard, and I think I caught it on like Instagram, like and not even the full clip, like part of it. I was like, what the fuck am I watching right now? Because I love all three of those shows, and I was like, what is happening? Let's see. Uh, all right, so it was a Super Bowl spot,
Oh, gee. Okay.
and it was all right. So it's 30 Rock, 30 Rock, The Office, Parks and Rec, and
And
Community.
Community.
And I'm gonna bring this up where hopefully we don't get
Bring it on, NBC.
yeah. I'll take you on fucking Peacock.
I subscribe. I pay.
It's short though, so it's only 2.5 minutes. Get away! I don't want 2 months of free YouTube TV. I didn't know there was an extended version of that. That was the full version. I've only seen the Office to the Community part, and then like kind of like it cuts off there.
They got everybody.
Yeah,
That was
I
literally
also,
whatever year that was, whatever time. That was literally like every show on their lineup.
that video was uploaded 9 years ago. So, and you can also tell how late in the series they were, going off of like how far into like Parks and Rec they were, where Rob Lowe's hair was down. It wasn't so like that was like late. That was later in the series. Obviously Michael Scott isn't in the Office bit because Andy Bernard is the boss, is the boss. So like you can tell how late in each series it was. Like Community,
Ben
no
Chang
Chevy
is a
Chase.
security guard.
Yeah, there's no Chevy Chase.
There's no Chevy Chase.
Which also I never
But
watched.
Donald hadn't left yet.
Yes, so that was like.
So that had to be that. Didn't they kill Pierce off screen in between 4 and 5? And then Donald left after the first 5 episodes?
Yes, because I think he makes a comment because they talk about Zach Braff leaving Scrubs in the final season after 5 episodes. And Donald Glover going, that's so wrong. And then he leaves after 5 episodes. It's fucking beautiful writing, that is.
So that had to be literally so there's the exact time. There is the time frame. It is whatever year, season 4 going into season 5, because Pierce isn't there, but Donald is still there. And yeah, just all Andy's the manager on The Office,
which could have also been, hold on, because didn't Community get canned after that? Because this is season 5.
They
got picked back up by Yahoo.
NBC canceled it after 5, and then Yahoo picked it up so they could finish the 6 seasons of the prophecy.
That's right. That's how that went.
6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah, and it's funny, all of those shows, it's funny, because I know it has a lot to do with my anxiety, why I just keep watching the same shows over and over again, because I know what's going to happen, so I'm not surprised. But also, just like you said, like the casts for those shows, that era of TV were just so, like the casts were so good. And can we just take a second to appreciate not only Nick Offerman, but also Ice-T staying in character during that whole bit. Not coming in as like they're the actors portraying the character in the show. It was that was Ron Swanson, and that was whatever Ice-T's character's name in Law and Order is. I don't know what his name is. All I know is that he goes, "That's messed up."
It is. He is. At that time, he probably was still a detective, but now he's a lieutenant.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And now he has the most ridiculous. I shouldn't say ridiculous, but just you don't. it's a jumble. His name is Odafin Tutuola.
What? Do they give him a nickname? Does he's
Finn.
got to have a nickname.
Finn.
That's it?
Yeah, they just call him Finn.
I was about to say that definitely.
And then when he's in trouble, it's, you know, Detective Tutuola or Sergeant Tutuola or Lieutenant Tutuola.
And all right, so because I don't know who has in this world. I never have. If you have, kudos on you. I want to hear from you. I've never watched Law and Order consecutively. I've always just taken it as an anthology of just the random episodes that are on, because don't some of them just never come back? Like they ended on a cliffhanger and just never address it again. Some of them sometimes.
Well, no, it's okay. So we actually just recently, like within the pandemic year and whatnot, did start to current day. It was actually last summer. It was to gear up for, because me and the wife are fans of SVU, but we actually hadn't watched it in a couple years. And so, like, we did this kind of just like big watch through of the summer where we started from the beginning and we ran all the way through until the new season started. So I am one of those people. Not there are like little things and like certain things that like don't get answered, but originally it was I forget the actual term. It's just episodic, just crime of the week.
Mm-hmm. And
something happened. Something happens
in the gang unit, right? Wasn't he like he was a gang task force guy, and then they pulled him in to that?
Forget it. I forget if it was the gang unit or if it was narcotics. I think it might have been narcotics.
It was a different division. I think I remember that because I did try to watch it.
He comes in at like either the end of season 1 or the end of season 2. But it's like he's been he obviously he hasn't been there since the beginning, but like he's been there as long as Mariska Hargitay has at this point.
Yes, and I know, as far as I know, is the way that show went. As Stabler left, Stabler came back, and that was to promote the other spinoff that Stabler was heading up.
Yeah,
that was all. That was the whole thing.
It's great.
Which also, like I said, like
I missed having Elliot Stabler on my television, and I'm glad that he's coming back for a second season.
I was never like, I never sat there and was like, Law and Order is fucking stupid. Not once. I just kind of like, I just never sat down and just binged it, like from beginning to end. I just whatever random episodes were on, I enjoyed them.
They didn't start. So Breaking Bad changed television, and Breaking Bad made it so that like, and Lost to an extent too, but I mean, I get you can credit both of them, and I guess actually since Lost came first, but like it was with Lost and then with Breaking Bad, but with it was they had like it all meant something.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was.
It's a bunny.
It all means something. Okay. Where like every episode, like there wasn't, you had like filler episodes, but like there wasn't a reset. There wasn't like, and I know that's different with the drop, but like it made it so that like Lost was so captivating that like people wanted to like continue watching, because that was always seen as like, oh, you can't do that. And then Breaking Bad like really fucking just kind of took the hold of on really what you could show.
Yeah.
On television. But that, you know, a lot of shows didn't start doing that, and Law and Order didn't start doing that until much later. Like the first stop. The first like 12 or so seasons of Law and Order, like, yeah, they'll have like little like 1 or 2 episode arcs, maybe a 3 episode arc, but like yeah, like their lives change and whatnot, but it's not kind of like it's an and then to the story. The
Yeah,
story
it's
is the
not
crime
like
of the week.
this happens Monday and then this happens Tuesday. It's like Monday and then the following Wednesday is like the next episode. It's just, whatever.
Yeah. There's no you don't necessarily, you just know it's after whatever point, and it's just supposed it's at least with Law and Order, it is supposed to kind of show the sort of monotony that that police work can be. At least that was always like sort of my interpretation. Like, yeah, the crime of the week thing is whatever, but it's also supposed to show. But then as TV changed and as people wanted more of continuation in their storytelling, and the episodes where like people will come back, they were always bigger. They always had big ratings when they would bring back like an old bad guy for like a trial like a couple of years later or something.
That I know a big thing too was also the
So it only made
crossovers.
sense.
Dick Wolf being able to control all of his shows and crossing and bringing somebody, because I can't remember the actor's name, but I know he played Mr. Big in Sex and the City, where he was in an early season, I think, Criminal Intent. And like, when they bring someone like that into like,
Oh no,
into
Eric.
like,
He was on the OG Law and Order. Eric North.
is that his name? Yes.
Eric North or Eric Noth or something like that. But yeah, he was on the OG Law and Order. Yeah, they would do not. I'm almost positive because what's D'Onofrio was on Criminal Intent.
Was Benjamin Bratt on one of the Law and Orders? Am I crazy? Am I having a Mandela effect?
No, he was on OG Law and Order.
He was. Okay, I just had to pull that because I'm sitting there, I'm like, why am I remembering Benjamin Bratt right now?
Yeah, was it Anthony Anderson was on like the last couple seasons of the OG Law and Order.
Him, I can't remember the actor's name, but he was in Clueless. It was the two of them were the lead detectives. They were like the main detectives. The fuck was his name?
I can't think of it either, but like you'll
you
look it up and
you know who I'm talking about though, right? He was the snobby guy in Clueless, and that's my go-to for that actor. I have nothing else on him.
Pen.
Let's see.
But yes,
I
found my pen.
Which also thinking about it the other day, when people talk about like their favorite movies, right, and their favorite things of all time, nobody can really pinpoint one, right? A lot of people just can't. I realized the other day, I can. My favorite movie of all time that I could watch every day for the rest of my life if I had to, is Clueless. I can watch that movie. Yes, I can watch Clueless for eternity. I have never watched that movie and sat there like sat on my phone the whole time like it was playing. Like I've done that with movies I love and I've watched for years. But Clueless is the one that I can sit there. And so like as far as watchability, entertainment value, cast, every just all the all around stats of a movie for me, my hands down my favorite, it's Clueless. And that just popped in my head the other day. I was like, wow. Clueless is my favorite. I can quote it. And Ghostbusters is like up there too. So Clueless and Ghostbusters are tied as like favorite movies of all around values into a film. I could watch them over and over. Also, Jeremy Sisto is the guy's name.
There we go.
That was where this all came from.
I feel like my top spot, like I feel like it I could choose between two, even though there's three that float in the top spot. But I go so far as to choosing one of them and saying that it's my favorite because it's flawed. As much as I love it, it's flawed. I know a fourth one. Okay, so there. I really love The Breakfast Club, but I can't choose it because the one part at the end, just like as much as I love that movie, the one part at the end still irks me, which is something I didn't realize until someone pointed it out to me.
The fist in the air?
No,
Is
no.
that
So like
Batfleck?
everything about that movie is fine or whatever. But the thing that gets me, and it didn't bother me until I forget where it was pointed out to me. I think it was this podcast I used to listen to called Court and Fat Boy. I could be wrong on that, but I think it was that. But it was pointed out to me that when the crazy girl when Claire does the makeover on the crazy girl,
Mm-hmm.
and she reveals herself to Andy. Andy should have like smudged her makeup a little bit or like messed up her hair. Like he should have done something instead of it being like an old like 80s trope. And like as much as I love John Hughes, like him just being like, I want to be normal, so I'm going to write what I think normal people would do instead of writing
What normal people would do.
well, I shouldn't say normal people, but like he said himself, or if I'm not mistaken, like he always wanted to be like the popular kid. So I feel like in that regard, even though he was never the popular kid, I feel like he was writing what he thought the popular kids would do, where he should have wrote what should have happened. Andy should mess up her hair and be like, like that's better because like they made their connection with her being the way she was. You know what I mean? Like her getting the makeover and then like conforming to what like will look good to like him and his friends and whatnot. Like that shouldn't have been the connection. I feel like their connection, like while it's great in the movie, I feel like it gets fucking slashed when that happens. Because she gets the makeover and then he smiles and it's almost like you do look normal. Instead of where he should mess up her hair and be like, no, I like this.
Yeah, I like you how you are, not.
I like you how you are. You don't have to. That's what should have happened. I also can't choose Chasing Amy. As much as I love that movie and have my own script that is based off of the concept, but I myself have to want to rewrite it because and Smith has admitted this, the trope of, even though they joke about it, but the trope of that all a lesbian needs is a good deep dicking. I
I don't know why dicking is why that's so fucking funny. Like, hold on, because like just like we're saying it in conversation and it's funny, but it's one of those things where I know exactly what you mean, but it's one of those things where like not even in high school, you know what she needs?
That phrase is just funny.
Yeah, like I've never heard. Funny. I've never heard outside of like talk like us talking
just serious we're deep digging.
Like or in movies, I've never heard like in real life anybody be like, yeah, I gave her a good dicking last night. Like
no once. You only heard that line in the movie, and you only heard that line in real life when people are quoting the movie.
Like it's never used as like a real like in real life.
So, but like I used to have it saved. I don't think I do, but like Smith gave an interview where he said like the changes that he would make to it. And I was just like, so now you need to remake Chasing Amy. Because like the changes that he said he would make, and like I forget if it was playing. He should have told the movie from Alyssa's perspective, and not, or he should have included more of Alyssa's perspective, if not tell the story completely from her perspective, and not from like the straight male perspective. Mm-hmm. He should have gone with the more conflicted angle instead of just showing like the most vaguest of bits and pieces of it. I think he also said something else about Holden and Banky or Holden coming to the realization that Banky's in love with him like quicker, and bringing that more to and not necessarily having them do anything, but just bringing that earlier into the flick instead of just throwing it at the end and then having Banky walk off because he's embarrassed or can't explain his emotions or whatever. And there was something else where I was just like, you need to remake Chasing Amy. So from there, I guess it would have to be either. No, it's Clerks 2. It's clear. I was gonna say it's either Clerks 2 or Zack and Miri Make a Porno, and not that I don't love Zack and Miri Make a Porno because I do. But I mean, I have the script book to Clerks 2,
which I realize
this thing is my Bible.
I just sent you a backstage message. But we got to make sure we do a whole thing with Clerks 2. Or not Clerks 2, is talking about Clerks 3 because we meant to talk about that like 2 episodes ago. And I just remembered it now. Like that was a whole thing we planned to do like 2 episodes ago. We just go off on our tangents. But to kind of like to finish off this episode, can we talk Venom?
Oh, yes, please.
And talk about There Will Be Carnage, because we did briefly mention Woody Harrelson last episode. And the recent
an American icon, an American gem.
Yes. And the recent trailer, like 2 days ago, it dropped, where it showed off more Carnage in the trailer.
It showed the transformation. They show pretty much an entire Carnage transformation, Cassidy into Carnage.
Yeah, which is all right. So I had very low expectations for the first Venom. I saw the trailer, and I'm generally someone where, like, if you tell me a trailer looks stupid, my brain immediately benefited the doubt. I'm like, I at least, because we talk about, how movies should be and how TV should be and everything like that. And for me, it's just like, I just need to be entertained at least once for that first run through of watching the film or the series, at least entertained. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be this amazing story, just entertainment wise. That's the whole point of it. The first Venom, and I love Tom Hardy. I really do. Like, Bane set aside, I love Tom Hardy.
I love.
But,
oh, okay.
Yeah. So all right, we're good. So with like, I love Tom Hardy. What?
You sure?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just talking backstage stuff, guys. I had like another show to record, and like it's just everything's been jumbly. I'm trying to time constrain everything down, but we're gonna keep going.
Okay.
Can
you have a what? No, you can't. You can't have it. You can't have a treat right now. But if can I what?
Can I have a Tootsie Roll or like one of those small treats?
You can have one Tootsie Roll. Just give me a minute to finish this thought.
Or like one of the pink, red.
Okay, you can have one Tootsie Roll. Just one. You can have one of the flavor ones, but just one.
Or the flavor one.
You can have a chocolate one or one of the flavor ones, but just one.
I want one of the
flavor. Okay, but just give me a second. Sorry, everybody.
But when it came down.
Okay, Billy, I'm recording. I will get you. I need to get another drink. I need to get another drink in a little bit anyway.
So when it came down to the trailers for Venom, I had very low expectations. I remember also even seeing it in theaters and going, I'm unhappy. Like I left the theater being like, I didn't like that. And then as I bought it again on sale on like Vudu, and then watched it again, I was like, actually, I enjoy this movie. Now, what I liked about it is the fact that I still don't think it was like top tier what they could have done with Venom. But what I liked about it is that it did well enough to give us what's about to come.
Yes.
And this looks awesome.
Now, real
Absolutely
quick,
awesome.
I have not seen the first Venom in its entirety. I know the complete story, and most of my complete story is just from like CinemaSins and like everything great about Venom, everything bad about Venom, and these guys, Mr. Sunday Movies. I know I brought them up once or twice. But from all the clips I've seen and all of that information, my favorite thing about the first Venom, and what I'm glad that what looks like they're going to keep continuing, is the Venom Eddie Brock relationship.
Yes.
And that whole dichotomy.
Yes.
And like I love the one part where they run into Carnage in the church, and Venom Venom retreats.
Immediately goes, like, "Oh shit," and just bounces. He's like, "Nope, not."
And he goes back into Eddie, and Eddie's like, "What? Where you going?" He goes, "That's a red one."
Yeah, he's like, "Nah."
And Eddie's like, "I need you to come out," and he's like, "No." And he goes, "If you come out, I'll let you eat all the people." And Venom's like, "You promised?" And Eddie's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yippee!" And fucking like, regardless of, so I don't know exactly how they're playing it, but now in my headcanon, hang on a second, boo boo. Now in my headcanon, the way they're playing Venom is almost similar to how they were playing Hulk.
Yes.
In the ascent that, like, while Venom has a greater vocabulary than Hulk because the more symbiotic relationship or whatever, and like obviously knows more, but I think, and I could be wrong, but I almost feel like, because Hulk in like, I think Hulk before Ragnarok is only supposed to be, and not Banner, obviously, Hulk is only supposed to be like mentally aged 4.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think they said by Ragnarok he's like toddler status. Like,
yeah, like he's older, and that's why he's able to string together sentences. Like, it's not just because Banner has spent so much time in him.
Yeah.
It is also the progression of time. Like, Hulk himself is getting older. And I almost feel like that's kind of like the same dynamic that and I could be wrong, but in my headcanon, that's what they're doing. So like Venom is like age 6.
That, and like what I love,
he's a savage. He wants to eat. He knows he's a predator, but Venom is age 6 because that whole like yippee, like that's exactly what a kid would say. Like, I'll let you do whatever you want. Yeah.
That, and that's one of the things too when I talk about entertainment value. At the very least, because I can probably after this I can do it. I can rewatch Venom and still be entertained. Like when they get to the top of the building and he's like,
"Don't
jump."
do that.
And he tells him to jump, and then Eddie gets into the elevator, and Venom just in the background just goes, "Pussy." like those things where I'm like, all right, this is what has my attention now, because I had low expectations as a story. Just give me give me the comedic one-liners at this point. At least it's entertaining enough to keep it going, which is basically the first Venom. That's what that did for me. Now with this one, obviously, we got that comedic value in the trailer with him going, "Oh shit," and then like dipping out and everything like that, but also the fact of the emphasis on is Cassidy, Clay Cassidy? I think that's wrong. Cletus, thank you. Where we get that post-credit scene with Woody Harrelson, and he's like, "I'm going to tell you my story," and I picked Eddie Brock. And then what they're doing now, of like what I'm hoping to is, they probably will, but what I'm hoping is that we don't kill this character off. We just he just gets away, like he just disappears or something, or they
there's no you
back.
Can't. No, you cannot. You absolutely cannot, especially since that we don't have an established Spider-Man in this universe. You can't then get rid of Venom's greatest enemy.
That's another thing I'm loving about the Venom series, and I'm excited to see where they put everything forward, because I know a big thing, at least in the comics, was obviously the symbiote attached to Peter Parker first, and then jumping away was kind of his hatred for Spider-Man is kind of what fueled him. But in this universe, we have not mentioned Spidey. Eddie Brock is attached to the symbiote without a Spidey. And I'm loving the fact that I don't know if there's been a story like that in the comics. Because I'm also not like, as much as everybody loves Spider-Man is not my like main hero. Like my knowledge on Spider-Man has a lot to do with, we've talked about the animated series. Like there's not so much comic canon I know besides Civil War.
We've established as much as I love the comics, I don't necessarily know the comics. I know most of the major stories, and I know most of the beats, and I know some I won't even say most, but I know a lot of the interconnectivity of the Marvel characters and whatnot. But yeah, that I don't know if there's ever been. I know Venom has had his own books, and I know there's the whole Agent Venom thing, and I know there's
the different branches.
I know there's Eddie Brock Venom, and then there's Flash Thompson Venom.
That and I know there's a whole anti-Venom where he's basically like a Deadpool character. He's an anti-hero. Like Flip and his symbiote's inverted. Like I know there's things like that, but that's about as much knowledge as I have. So I don't know if we've gotten a storyline where Venom operates without having a Peter Parker in his world to base his drive and everything like that. But I'm loving that that's where they're going with this, where, okay, like we can, especially with the multiverse coming up and everything like that, there can be a way we can finagle this all together. Sure, but right now with this story, I am loving the fact of like, all right, because I'm pretty sure in comic book lore, I could be wrong. For all you nerds at home, I might be wrong, but I think what I have read on this is Eddie Brock ending up on the west coast of the country has to do with like him and Spidey finally duking it out and going like we're not going to keep doing this, and Spidey basically runs him out of New York and says, get the fuck out of here, I don't want to see you again. And that's how Eddie ends up on the west coast, which is not the way the cinematic universe is doing it. Is Eddie is established on the west coast and then attaches to this symbiote.
Well, he was run out. He was run out of New York. They still established that Eddie was run out of New York, but it was before Venom was attached to him.
Okay,
and whatever
I haven't watched
whatever reason he was run out of New York, because they've kept that vague, and they have kept it open. Like, I know I brought it up months ago at this point, but there is the possibility of everything that they're doing with the multiverse and whatnot, and like the rumors going on at Sony. There is the possibility that this takes place in the Andrew Garfield Spidey universe. It can't take place in the Tobey universe unless we're changing the Tobey universe. But this can take place in the Garfield universe. It can't take place in the MCU because there's no. Yes, I told you you can have one. Oh, thank you, kiddo. Okay, thank you.
Those ones taste like very sweet.
I know they taste like vanilla.
But they're very good.
My kid got me a Tootsie Roll vanilla chew.
Look, off topic, the vanilla Tootsie Rolls are the best ones. Don't at me. The vanilla Tootsie Rolls are hands down the best one.
I mean, they are delicious. I am a fan of all the flavors. I like to take the vanilla and then the OG Tootsie Roll, and then I'll like swirl them together.
I like to do that with the orange one, with the orange and the vanilla one.
I'll do that with the lemon lime.
And
then it's like Sprite.
But yeah, it's I am loving where this is going with this, storyline, and having Venom be his own thing here.
You can have one. Maybe, but right now I'm in the middle of something, kiddo. Come on.
But yeah, having his own his own thing going is really, I'm loving that, and I'm loving the Cletus Clay because just I have Woody Harrelson's another one where I have yet to be disappointed in anything that Woody Harrelson has done.
Anything that he's done in most recent time.
Because
I forget exactly where the point is, but like there's a certain point where like Woody Harrelson, like he not that he chose poorly or whatever, but there was just a point where like his career turned.
Yeah, because it's funny because Woody Harrelson's one of those actors that even going as far back as as I start to know who actors were, like as opposed to seeing movies with characters in them. Because obviously, I mentioned before, Ghostbusters is tied with Clueless. Ghostbusters definitely trumps Clueless by a smidge on like favorite movie, hands down. But also like, recognizing who Bill Murray is, Kingpin was like my first run in with Woody Harrelson. That was like my first like Woody Harrelson movie where I'm like, oh, okay.
What's funny is that as a kid, so I half paid attention to shit. I didn't necessarily realize that Kingpin wasn't a kid's movie. I just saw
a bowling movie with
a bowling movie with Woody from Cheers and Bill Murray. I knew who Bill Murray was. I knew who Woody Harrelson was, but like I knew
and Randy Quaid. Though they were the three. I can't remember who the woman was in that movie, but it was Bill Murray, Randy Quaid, and Woody Harrelson.
So like like I did that with so many movies and as a kid. Like shouldn't have watched The Pest as a kid, but I was able to get it because look, it's Luigi from the Mario Brothers movie.
Yup.
It's John Leguizamo. Come on. How bad can it be?
So just looking at and I went back to where kind of this started. We've got Woody is like a couple random characters up until 85, and that's where he's in Cheers. That's when he jumps into Cheers. Looks like 85 to 93 is when Woody shows up. And then it's still
After
like while he's on Cheers, he's still doing. It looks like he was still doing a couple other things, and then
when does he do White Men?
That's where I was going. This is why we do this show, man. This is exactly why we do this show, because we're on the same wavelength. Is White Men Can't Jump came out in 92. So and then it looks like I don't know if Cheers ended or that was just
Cheers
Woody's end in 93.
No, he went whenever he was on Cheers till the end. Cheers ended in 93.
Okay, so then that was tail end of Cheers.
When he did White Men Can't Jump, that was supposed to be like, oh, he's going to be one of the next big comedy stars. He's going to transition this successful run on Cheers, and now he's going to be one of the next big comedy movie stars or just movie star. And it didn't pan out for the longest time.
Yeah, because after that too, we've got the following year is Natural Born Killers. Is the big one in 94. And I think I've seen Natural Born Killers. I can't tell you shit about it.
Oh, same.
I've definitely seen it, because isn't Downey Jr. in that too?
Possibly.
I'm gonna pull that up in a second, but can we talk about this poster for White Men Can't Jump, where it's for how 90s this is to begin with, but also just Wesley and Woody. We have no last names. It's just you need to know it's Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson, and you just need to know. And I'm loving this. I love this so much. But yeah, let's see. Natural Born Killers. Which was that was meant to be a serious role, right? That he had. Like I said, if you and I are on the same page, that's like as far as I remember.
I think it might have been like action comedy.
Also, another movie that just the cast, dude. Woody Harrelson, Juliette Lewis. Well, obviously we knew that. Rodney Dangerfield, who played Juliette Lewis's father, didn't know that. Tom Sizemore is in it as a detective, which I think he was just being casted. Jared Harris is credited as a London Boy. I don't remember the movie, but Jared Harris, his big thing I know is he was the evil TV guy in Mr. Deeds. Um, he was in Resident Evil 2 as the good guy geneticist who created the T virus, and he was also in the show The Expanse, which is on Amazon, which is a great show for those of you at home. I strongly recommend it. But yes, then we've got Robert Downey Jr. is in it. Pruitt Taylor Vince, who is a name you might not recognize the name, but hold on, I'm gonna pull up his face here for us. Da, 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 da. He was in Constantine, and I believe he was also in Walking Dead. I'm sure he's had other major things happen. Yeah, Constantine. So that's like the bit, like that's a big bill. I mean, some of these actors may not be known at that time, but that's that like nowadays, that's a pretty big thing. And then after that, it's a bunch of things I've never heard of. A one-off episode of The Simpsons in '94, and then we come back in '96 with Kingpin with Woody.
Kingpin and People versus Larry Flint.
I gotta pull up Kingpin here. I gotta find it. There was a woman in it too. It was like part of the gang. Oh, Chris Elliott was also in Kingpin. Vanessa Angel. I don't even recognize who that is.
He's another guy. Chris Elliott is another guy that has just been around for so long and has been in so much.
And again, it's one of those things where, like, as a whole, whatever he's in may not be great, but Chris Elliott is great in it. Like, I've never sat there and gone like, man, Chris Elliott sucks in this. Like, never. I've been like, this show sucks, but Chris Elliott is the reason I'm watching it.
The fact that Chris Elliott isn't always like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like, he's great on Schitt's Creek, but he's not the best thing about Schitt's Creek.
No, and that's the opposite end where I love Schitt's Creek. I gotta finish it. I actually like was binging it for a while, and I gotta finish binging it. But like, it's one of those things like, wow, this show is great. Chris Elliott's also great in the show, but like you said, he's not the big, he's not the biggest thing in it. But like, that's like, it's just another one where I've never seen Chris Elliott in something and gone, wow, he sucks in this. Let's see, and then Woody Harrelson plays himself in Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, 99. A run of episodes on Will and Grace, and then he I haven't watched Anger Management in years, but he's in Anger Management.
I remember that bit part.
And then there's then we jump around to these. I've never seen any of these things in between Anger Management, and then I've seen A Scanner Darkly. I enjoyed A Scanner Darkly. It's got to be No Country for Old Men, where Woody like kind of started. No, I mean, even then, I'm seeing things on here up until Zombieland. There's stuff on here I've never even heard of. Like, I never saw Semi Pro.
Oh, so that Semi Pro is fucking hilarious.
I've never. It wasn't even like I ignored it because like I'm not the biggest Will Ferrell fan, but I like certain Will Ferrell projects. I've just never gotten to it.
Look, is it the best Will Ferrell movie? No, but is it a funny Will Ferrell movie? Yes.
That and like the top billed cast in that on the poster. I remember when it came out, it was Woody, Will Ferrell, and Andre 3000. I can see the poster clear as day in my mind.
And it was then that Andre 3000 won me over with the fact where I was just like, okay, like. I think he cares enough, and I think he actually wants to give this acting thing a try. And then he just really didn't do much. He just he got very picky.
I will circle back to Andre 3000 because there's a couple things that he's been in that I love, and I thought he crushed it in. All right, and then so 7 Pounds I never saw. I've seen Surfer Dude.
7 Pounds. It's a Will Smith movie.
Right, that's what I'm remembering from this is that I never saw this. I did see Surfer Dude and I love Surfer Dude, and that's gonna circle back into the Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey dynamic that I love very much so. And then we've got Zombieland. I think 2012 was a big movie when it came out, but I don't remember it. I don't remember him in Friends with Benefits, but maybe I can watch that later. Apparently, he was in the Hunger Games. I don't remember that because I didn't
Oh
actually
no,
enjoy the Hunger Games.
We just recently, like 2 weeks ago, did rewatch the whole Hunger Games series, and he's great in that. That I think.
Oh,
I think
is he in all of them?
yes, he's in all of the.
Oh,
Hunger Games.
I didn't know that. I don't think I saw past the second movie. I think I saw the second movie with the next girlfriend when it came out, but I don't remember it. So there's also in between. So after Hunger
He's
Games,
in all four of them. You know who else is in all four of them?
Lenny Kravitz.
I'm not sure if Kravitz is in all four. I think he's in at least two. Um,
Stanley Tucci.
Elizabeth Banks.
She's like the big host, right? That looks like a Victorian clay doll.
Look, I've seen these movies a couple times, and I know like the main premise and the gist of it. She's some type of liaison to the chosen competitor. Like, I think she's like a liaison to the rich people or the better life or whatever, to whoever gets chosen for the Hunger Games, and then if they win, like, oh, good for them, they have a debutante or something. I'm not exactly sure how that whole dynamic works. It's probably explained, and I probably just kind of zone out every time it's explained. But
all right, so I'm gonna say it's got to be actually Hunger Games. This is where Woody's career kind of like really brings him to where we've got him at in our heads present day, because it's Hunger Games and then Now You See Me in 2013. Now I want to talk about this movie in between that. It's called Seven Psychopaths. I gotta pull up the writer who did it because he did something else that I thoroughly enjoyed. I want to say it's In Bruges, but I might be wrong. Yes, he did In Bruges, and he also wrote recently Three Billboards Outside of whatever Idaho or whatever movie that was with Frances McDormand. Yeah. So I love In Bruges. It's an indie movie, came out in 2008 with Ralph Fiennes, Colin Farrell, and I haven't seen. Oh fuck! I just found out he's the dad of the Gleason of Domhnall Gleeson, who was in the recent Star Wars movies. What the fuck is his name? I want to say Jack Gleason, but that's not right.
Speaking of Star Wars, Woody Harrelson's in Solo, Star Wars story.
Yes, he is. Let me see. What the fuck? Let me just click In Bruges. The fuck is his name? It's Domhnall Gleeson is his son. What the fuck is his name? Brendan Gleeson, who is also a huge actor and has been in many things. Some of my favorite things, including Troy, and obviously In Bruges. He was in the Harry Potter movies. He was the guy with the wild eye. But Seven Psychopaths here, right? Okay, it's written by Martin McDonagh, who also wrote In Bruges. He's obviously big on like the indie kind of circuit here. The cast for this movie: Colin Farrell, Woody Harrelson, Sam Rockwell, Christopher Walken. There's someone, I think the chick that plays Precious is in it for a little while. Harry Dean Stanton, Kevin Corrigan, who generally plays a scummy guy in everything he's in. He played the because we talked about Community before. He played the theater teacher. Is Kevin Corrigan in Community?
Oh,
when Abed goes crazy with the Nicolas Cage stuff, his teacher for that class, that's Kevin Corrigan.
Okay.
And the movie is it's great. It's one of those weird indie movies where you're like, what the fuck did I just watch? The quick synopsis, right? And this is a sentence. It's a run-on sentence, but it's a sentence. A struggling screenwriter inadvertently becomes entangled in the Los Angeles criminal underworld after his oddball friends kidnap a gangster's beloved Shih Tzu. Woody Harrelson is the mob boss who's looking for his Shih Tzu.
Oh, that's great.
In that movie. And it's filled with awesome one-liners, and it's actually, I strongly recommend it, and I wanted to bring that up before moving further down Woody Harrelson's movie credits here, because not a lot of people know about it, and it's one of those things where, like, my best friend told me to watch In Bruges. I had never heard of it. It's kind of a slower movie, but it's like dark comedy. And the same thing with Seven Psychopaths, where like when he found out about Seven Psychopaths and saw the cast, because that's also a big thing about how I watch movies nowadays, is watch it like is who's in the movie or
Yes.
in the show is obviously going off of the cast. Because a big thing I'll do sometimes is I won't even watch movies, is I'll just go on like Vudu and go to the cast and click actors that I enjoy or actresses, and then go through what they have on Vudu and watch trailers for things, and then be like, oh, that looks good, and then add it to my wish list and then eventually watch it. But Seven Psychopaths is one that not a lot of people know about, and it's a fantastic movie. But yeah, right around there, and like right around Hunger Games, because then we've got right after that, because like I said, you got Now You See Me, and then there's this movie I didn't see. Apparently, he's in Out of the Furnace, which I believe is Christian Bale, Casey Affleck, Zoe Saldana. I never saw the movie. Apparently Willem Dafoe is in it. Forrest Whitaker. It just kind of keeps going. I never saw this one. I remember seeing the trailers for it when it came out, so I didn't know he was in that. And then we've got Hunger Games 2. And then in 2014, which was an amazing series for those of you who haven't watched it, is him and Matthew McConaughey coming back together here for True Detective Season 1, which is one of the greatest shows, in my opinion, in the last 10 years in a series like this, as far as like detective shows go and like true crime, because I'm not really a big true crime kind of person, but that first season of True Detective is awesome. And Woody and Matthew McConaughey's dynamic has just always been great, and it's fantastic.
I think that's he was already showing that he could be bankable a little bit, and he can be funny, and he can do this. I think with True Detective, he was just like, give me anything. True Detective, I think, was him, even though it's a serious part, but I think that was just him, just like, watch me knock this out of the park, and I will prove to this is where I finally prove that I can do anything, and you're going to give me anything.
Yeah, and it makes sense too why around this time, so starting with the first Hunger Games in 2012, there's there's the big things like you've got Now You See Me, and then like Out of the Furnace. Those were big build movies. I remember that when those were coming out. And then True Detective, and then of course you got Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1. And then Hunger Games Part 2. So obviously, as far as movies and contracts go, that's tying up a lot of his time for him to do that. I haven't seen this movie, but I vaguely remember it coming out. After that is 999, which is also another one. Kate Winslet, Norman Reedus, Gal Gadot, Clifton Collins Jr., Anthony Mackie, Casey Affleck. I can never pronounce this guy's name right, but he plays Baron Mordor in or Mordo in Doctor Strange, Chitweddle or Jeffor or something. British guy.
Hang on, I gotta look at his name.
And while you're pulling that up, and then you've got Now You See Me 2. War for the Planet of the Apes was the big one after that. It looks like he also played Lyndon B. Johnson in something, but I don't remember. That's not my cup of tea. So that would explain. And then he comes back again, with another coming back for that McDonough kind of trilogy of movies I just talked about before. He comes back. He is in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And then you've got Solo, Venom, Zombieland 2. There's a couple things in between there that I've never heard of, that I haven't seen. His couple stints on Saturday Night Live playing Joe Biden. Some show that came out last year, which now I gotta find, that he's been on, called The Freak Brothers. What is this? This is why I love deep dives into actors like repertoire. It's some cartoon.
I forget how to pronounce his first name, but I know his last name is Ojafor.
It is okay. Yeah, I don't know what this cartoon is that he did, Like last year, it's called The Freak Brothers. It looks like it is still going. It wasn't canceled. Maybe just the first season ended. But we've got Woody, John Goodman, Pete Davidson, Tiffany Haddish, Adam Devine, Blake Anderson, Phil Lamar, Lala Anthony, Schoolboy Q, like Andrea Savage. I don't know what this cartoon is, but I might try and find that later because I don't know.
What is it?
It's called The Freak Brothers.
The Freak Brothers.
And it came out
here it
last
is.
year. I've never even heard of this, but the cast alone makes me want to watch it.
All right, I gotta click on this and because that name does not ring a bell, but that cast sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, why do I feel like this has got like Adult Swim written all over it?
It looks like it, right?
Yeah, I feel like this has got Adult Swim written all over it. I could be wrong. I probably am, but yeah, my computer does not like how many windows I have open right now. I'm just gonna, there we go. All right, I'm just gonna go back to the Facebook tab and just leave that on the one side and have you on the other side. Alrighty. Are you frozen?
No,
oh, no, there you go.
I was looking at something. I do because I told you this morning my my PlayStation account got hacked, and this morning before any of the hours opened up, it said that there was a live chat to talk to a person. So I figured while we were doing this, I could try and get that handled. And now that live chat has just disappeared. Like there's not even a button for it anymore. It's just the automated chat, and then it tells me to call a phone number. So I'll do that after we record. I was trying to just like kind of like get it done while we were talking.
I got my bad. My bad.
No, dude, we're good because I've got plenty of time.
It's just you were so zoned and so still. I wasn't sure if we lost connection again or not.
So, and then of course, then we come back to exactly what we were talking about on this Woody Harrelson tangent with Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which I coming back to that, not only because I love Woody Harrelson and especially like where I feel like this is that in between of him being in comedic roles and him obviously, coming back to True Detective and being in the serious role, where now he's literally playing a serial killer. He is playing an out of his mind fucking serial killer where he's got to treading that line.
Who just so happens to have an alien symbiote species. Oh, shit. I said the old fucking... An alien symbiote species living inside of him who may or may not be making his psychopathic tendencies worse.
Yeah, what's your theory on this? Because I don't remember in the comics how he got attached to it, but it looks like in the trailer it's because when he sees Eddie Brock in this recent trailer, he bites his hand. Yeah, he bites his hand, and then like the blood mixes with his or something.
It was always the reason Carnage is the way he is because it was always something with Venom mixing with Cletus's blood.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember for shit. Thank you for reminding me because I had no idea. I was just kind of like, I don't remember how this happened.
And that was the one reason why he was so strong because Carnage kind of does have that just like that extra bond with Cletus because they really are kind of one and the same because of the mixture of Venom and Cletus's blood.
That's what I was going to bring up too, is the big thing with this, which someone else pointed out. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I don't remember. This was a TikTok I saw, and I can't remember the user's name that brought this up. I'm sure other people have brought it up, but I saw someone specific yesterday that brought it up, is in the first movie, which you also see in the first trailers, obviously, the big thing is that Eddie and Venom are two separate entities working together symbiotically. We are copacetic and working together here. When it comes down to Carnage, which was I think was a big thing in the comics, at least is what this user brought up, is that the symbiote with Carnage and with Cletus is not separate entities. They are one and the same. going back to with the big spin being obviously in the first movie, we are Venom. This is Eddie and Venom
Yeah.
operating as two separate things. But I believe the big thing is in this trailer, he says, I am Carnage. So it is one entity, which is what makes Carnage so hard to kill, I believe, in the comics and everything too, is because it's almost like a Hulk kind of thing where, you know, Bruce Banner brings it up in the at least in the cinematic universe, in the first Avengers movie. I tried to put a gun in my mouth, the other guy spat it out. Where it's one of those things where because this is like Cletus and Carnage are one entity in reality speak, is that you can't really like there's got to be some they've got to like launch him back into space or something. He's got to come back later to like you can't murk this thing. Like we can't
Oh no.
Spider-Man 3 him and hit some hit some bells and like
No,
like,
whatever ends up happening, either Cletus ends up like either Cletus ends up in some high superpowered super villain jail.
Yes. Like something like the Raft.
Or yeah, like something like the Raft, or he ends up on the run. Or it looks like he's dead, and maybe they pull not the same type of move, but maybe they pull like some like supersonic sound wave bullshit, and like it looks like Carnage disintegrates and disappears, a la Venom in Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
But my theory with that was always that, yeah, those pieces kind of disappeared and looked like they faded away. But my theory was always that like those pieces were going to reform and like Eddie Brock Venom was going to come back.
Like almost
so
to the point where it looks like they vaporize, but they're so subatomically small. You can't see them, so it looks like they're gone, but after a certain amount of time, they could just find their way back to each other, becoming the being coming back kind of thing.
You cannot get rid of matter. It can only be transferred.
Right.
So yeah, it looks like it disappeared, but yeah, it's just the smallest particles, and because they are the Venom particle and symbiotic, it just probably, they definitely reform. That was always my theory. So maybe they could do something like, something similar.
I'm gonna drink.
All good. But maybe they could do something similar where like some sound wave or some blast or whatever, and like it like fricassees him and you think he's dead, but then like mid-credit scene or post-credit scene, like all of a sudden like pieces start forming back together, and like you just get like I'm interested to see or I'm interested to hear Woody's Carnage voice.
Oh yeah. I didn't even think about that.
And then yeah, like I guarantee you, like if they do something like that where like he gets vaporized, like the post-credit scene will be like Carnage forming back and like Woody doing a Carnage laugh, like like or, yeah, a psychopath, whatever the psychopathic laugh that he ends up doing is, because all psychopaths have
one. Yeah, it's probably one, like I said, especially after, like I said, because I wasn't even with the first Venom movie, I wasn't excited when I saw the trailer. I left the movie theater going like it was all right, and even like my friends being like, you're normally the one that like when everybody else says it looks like shit, you end up being the one enjoying it. You end up finding like that silver lining to enjoy the movie or enjoy the show when everybody else hates it. And I walked out of the theater being like, yeah, it was okay. Like I had no intention of buying it, but then it was kind of like just on a binge of like Marvel and just like Marvel property films, and it was just like Venom's on sale, I'm buying this, and then watched it again, and I was like, all right, I actually enjoy this. But this is like, so for me to compare to the big MCU things coming out, my level of excitement now for Let There Be Carnage is up there with my level of excitement to see Shang-Chi. Like those two movies I have the same level of excitement to see those compared to like, I can honestly, I'm excited to see No Way Home. I don't care if they never drop a trailer, but like, I'm more excited to see those.
That's where we differ, because like I was excluding No Way Home because that's just, for me, that's the top of the mountain. That's the cream of the crop. That's the icing on the cake. That's what I've been fucking waiting for so long. I want a trailer.
So maybe
I want a trailer.
Maybe for me, the big difference is that I'm not like I like Spider-Man and I've enjoyed the movies, and I will absolutely say that I enjoyed the Raimi movies despite their problems. I enjoyed the Garfield movies despite their problems. I still enjoyed these movies, and I especially enjoy obviously the Tom Holland ones. But I've got to be the one psychopath when it comes to Marvel that Spidey is not my top tier hero. So even with when it comes to that, I'm like, all right, I'm excited to see it, but I'm more excited to see Shang-Chi and Venom over No Way Home.
Look, that's fine, and everyone, to each his own. Everyone has their preferences, but Spidey, again, but Spidey is my dude.
Right.
I like Spider-Man was like I love the animated series when it was on in the 90s. Like Spider-Man, like I connected with Spider-Man because I wanted to. He was young enough to where, like the Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Young, obviously not a child, not children, like I will, 5, 6, but closer to my age than quote unquote traditional superheroes at the time. So it's like, eyes can be superhero.
So real quick, because I want to talk about Suicide Squad while talking about superheroes, because that comes out Friday, and one of the things we talked about doing this episode was that
comes out tomorrow at 7.
Does it?
I'm pretty sure I just saw a commercial that said that it will be available on HBO Max tomorrow at 7:00.
That would make sense because I'm sure the first showings in theaters are going to be to public theaters are going to be tomorrow at 7, so that makes sense. I know the big release date is obviously Friday, as far as comes out August 6th, but whatever. But before we get into that, I had a question for you because I ended up on a weird deep dive. Not really a deep dive of Power Rangers, but just a weird
here we go.
A weird dive into Power Rangers.
This is my wheelhouse.
Why do I not remember Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers or whatever that's so why don't I remember that? I don't remember that with shit.
When did you stop watching?
See that's where things get murky, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because I definitely watched Mighty Morphin, right? I even watched up to the point where Rocky takes over being Red Ranger. And then there's obviously the non-canon that you've ruined it for me, the non-canon movie. But also, and then I remember watching Turbo, but then apparently my brain just skips, my brain has skipped Zeo. I don't remember any of that, because then my brain just goes from Turbo to Jungle Force. So there are gaps in between things that I don't know where. Exactly.
Okay.
I don't. So where is Alien Rangers in all of this? Because I have no idea what this is.
So Alien Rangers is in between what would be the Ninja Shogun era and Zeo.
Okay.
What happened is Billy creates this machine, which I forget its actual purpose. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be time travel or something, but it ends up like de-aging, if not just Angel Grove, the entire world.
Uh-huh.
So like the Rangers and like Bulk and Skull, like they become kids, like children.
Yes.
Maybe like 10 years old. And so they can't exactly be Power Rangers. And I think there's also something where okay, so Billy creates this machine, it backfires, it de-ages the whole world. The Power Rangers become children. So now Rita and Zed are just like, here we fucking go.
Right.
No Rangers. They're too young. They can't morph.
Mm-hmm.
We got this. So Zordon calls on the who we call the Alien Rangers, which are the Aquatarian Power Rangers. And it's just like, hey, I got a situation. I need some Rangers. And then they come in and they have like a mini-series run as the Rangers are kids. And in this mini-series run, like it deals with like the Rangers being kids, and then it has the stuff with the alien Rangers like fighting like Rita and Zed and all that and whatnot. Billy ends up trying to fix the device, but it only ends up aging him up.
I vaguely remember that. Very lightly do I remember that.
And then from there, what happens is that Zordon says that the only way to help is for the kids to go on like these quests to find the Zeo crystals, and they have to like go back to like their roots or whatever. And so like they all like travel to like different like I guess it's I guess it's presumed that it's different parts of the world, and I guess they kind of do show that a bit. But like they go to different parts of the world and like learn about their heritage a little bit, and then they get a Zeo crystal, and that's where Aisha gets changed for Tatiana. Yeah, that's where Aisha gets exchanged for Tatiana, because presumably Aisha goes to Africa, and like she meets her cousin Tatiana, and then like Aisha doesn't want to leave. She's like, "Oh no, like I kind of like it here. I don't want to go." And Tatiana's like, "I'll fucking go."
Yeah,
and that is something that is also never explained. Although I guess it had to be a de-aging of the entire world, which then, when they re-age up, because if it was just Angel Grove getting de-aged, then they never explain how they inexplicably took a 10-year-old kid and aged her up to teen years and like never. So yeah, it had to have been that Billy accidentally de-aged the entire planet. So the kids go on the quest. They get the Zeo crystals. Aisha stays in Africa and exchanges and brings in Tatiana in her place, and then they get the Zeo crystals, and that restores the kids. But then shit goes haywire, and then that's what leads into Zeo. And the issue that fans have with Zeo is there were only 5 Zeo crystals. But if you remember, at this point, we have 6 Rangers, and this is where Billy gets left out.
Okay, so that's where.
Now, the actor David Yell, he stays on the show, and he essentially just like he does like his Billy thing in the command center with Alpha and Zordon. But they do the Zeo run. Billy does not get powers ever again. They tease it with the Yellow Ranger run, with the Gold Ranger run in Zeo. I don't even know why I said yellow, because the Gold Ranger is mainly black.
I know. See, so I remember that too, but it's like
they tease. It was something where like the Gold Ranger power and Billy couldn't mesh or something, but like it was fine with Jason. I don't know. And that was the big thing. They brought back Austin St. John to play Jason Lee Scott again.
So that's where this deep dive started. I was just scrolling through things, and just like from a Comic-Con or something, he was talking about just like he was like, good luck finding it, but like I'm so jealous of like how props are nowadays, and like after his run on Power Rangers, because he was like, when you hold a communicator, like you see me hold it with my hand on top of the face, right? And he goes, there are times, and good luck finding it, where I have to hold at the bottom because like I'm holding it this way because the strap is broken. And then that led me to going like, when did Rocky show up? So then I'm on this deep dive of like what, like, because I know we've talked about too with like Rocky getting hurt at one point too, and I'm like, when did Rocky get hurt? Because I remember that. And then it led me that it was like it brought in like Alien Rangers and then bringing up Zeo, and I was like, I don't remember this. Like I don't remember. And like still, like when you bring up the Gold Ranger, I can see that in my head perfectly, but I don't. And I remember like Billy being an adult hanging with a bunch of kids, and but like that's it. That's all I like. Those are the bits and pieces I remember. And I was like, I got to ask Deeds about this tomorrow because I have no idea. And you brought up Mighty Morphin, with like,
So
looking up the heroes. I was like, wait. I was like, tell me where Alien is because I have no idea what this is.
So to continue, because you still have some gaps. So Billy eventually gets written off the show, and the reasons in real life why they wrote him off the show actually kind of suck. And it's boiled down, and he said it in interviews, and other Rangers have confirmed it since. But the actor David Yost, who plays Billy, is gay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And he got essentially just like harassed for years, allegedly, by never really any of the actors. Like, he was always cool with his Ranger cast and like Bulk and Skull, but it was like crew members and like, I would assume maybe like, like network execs or whatever. But like, there was abuse that he got for a while for being gay.
Mm-hmm.
And so like finally he had enough, and then like they wrote him off the show. And just like they did this shit where like they didn't even use it, like, because he abruptly quit. But like, so they did something where like, because he re-aged himself using his device, but then the rest of the world was reset by the Zeo crystals, or however that happened. Like inexplicably, he just like advanced ages to like 60s.
Death.
And like they just get like, because David Yost quit, they just get like some dude in his 60s to like play Billy for an episode. And and what ends up happening is that like they send him to Aquitar with the Alien Rangers because they're like, we can help him. And then what they do to like send him off is like they use just like some stock footage of him, and they put like the Zordon effect on it, essentially. So it's kind of just like shaky and whatnot, because it's like a transmission from Aquitar, and like, apparently he's supposed to be underwater or something. I don't exactly know. But like essentially, like he fixes himself, but he's like, I'm not coming back. I've met someone, and so like they just write him off, and Billy is never seen again in the Power Rangers universe.
Yeah, I was just like I said,
And he is the only one. No, actually, no, that's false. Because I don't think Aisha's come back, and I don't. No, Rocky's come back recently. I don't think Aisha's come back. Aisha hasn't come back. Kimberly hasn't come back, and Billy hasn't come back since they have left the show. But I'm almost positive every other well, not the original Black Ranger, Walter. He refuses to do it because it's not, because the Power Rangers is a non-union acting job.
Oh, okay.
And he's part of the union, and that was the reason him, Jason, and Trini left the show, was because of the crazy hours, and it was non-union, and they felt like they should be getting paid more for just all the publicity and all like this fucking merchandise sales and all this, and they were just like, there should be more here. And there was a contract dispute, and the Tommy, Kim, and Billy signed. Jason, Trini, and Zach didn't, and then that's when they did the swap.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought in Rocky, Aisha, and Adam. And then it was just people leaving little by little as the show went on from that point on. Kim left, and they replaced her with Catherine. And then Aisha left, and they replaced her with Tatiana. And I think they both left because of the union stuff, because Kim's never been back and she's never been back.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Don't ask me for another treat. Zach's never been back because of the union stuff. Jason left because of that and because he felt like there was supposed to be more money, but he never really has done much outside. Like, he tried, but then like he went and lived a real life, and like he came back for Zeo, and he actually came back again for, I think it was the season called like Beast Morphers.
I was about to say, I've seen
Or
a
something
clip
like that.
where like the Red Rangers are all hanging out, and like then just Jason
He
shows up
also-
on a motorcycle, and
he-
he's like, "You can't do
that's
this
right.
with the original Red Ranger," and that's all
That's
the
right.
only, I have no idea what show
He
it
came
was,
back
but
for
I'm like,
Forever
oh,
Red too. So he's come back sporadically. Johnny Young Bosch, who plays Adam, comes back sporadically. Justin the Kid Ranger hasn't showed up again. Rocky recently came back with one of the recent team ups where they used Mighty Morphin.
yeah, because I remember too, and I was reading on it, and I
Sorry,
remember.
All right, so then throw it away.
I remember as much as like Rocky gets hurt in whatever martial arts tournament, and then the Kid Ranger, like obviously his whole thing was that like he found out who the Rangers were, and then they made him a Ranger or something like that. It's off of the Wikipedia page that I have that info. I don't have the exact storyline.
He went to go visit Rocky in the hospital, and like he walked in the room and he was being all quiet, and as he was in there, then quiet, and Rocky didn't even know he was in there because he was sleeping. The Rangers come in behind Justin, so Justin hides under Rocky's hospital bed.
Mm-hmm.
So they start talking. Then they start talking Ranger, and Justin's under the bed the entire time. And then Billy, stop. No more treats, because you've already had enough. You've asked for last one. Don't ask me for another one because you threw that last one out. Fine. Sorry. Don't have children. So yeah, they start talking, then they start talking Ranger, and then the other four teleport out of Rocky's hospital bed after taking a call from Alpha or Zordon. They take a call from the command center.
Uh-huh.
They teleport out of there, and then Justin like tries to sneak out and like hits his head on the hospital bed, and Rocky's like, "What?" And he's like, "Justin, you heard all that?" And then I guess from there, like Rocky's like, "Yeah, let's send the kid in my stead." Zordon, you agree with that? And Zordon like, "Yeah, cool." That's never said on camera. It's just presumed off camera because all of a sudden Justin shows up.
Yeah, because I remember in the reading, and I remember this much of that, like when Rocky like heals enough, Justin's like, "Oh, do you want this back?" He's like, "No, you take over." And then like Rocky just got off into the sunset. Like for that storyline, it was like, "You've got it now," and he was just poof.
That was for the actor Steve Cardaris just wanting off the show, and him at least being like, "Hey, I want off, but it's not bad terms. Like, we can finish a storyline with me. Like, I think I'm done with this for right now." And so that's why he was able to like actually like, I guess, do a story, even though like he said like he's like they made it seem that he was gonna stick around for more of that first season of Turbo, and like I guess kind of almost do like the Billy thing for a little bit, and like just do some like command center work. But yeah, like he's in the movie. He's in like the first 2 episodes and like a couple clips, maybe 3 in Turbo, and then he's just never seen from again until he shows up years later in that reunion episode. Which, getting on the Power Ranger tangent, it has still not been exactly explained how these Mighty Morphin Rangers are able to use their Mighty Morphin powers when they were destroyed however long ago.
Like, there's no canon explanation, is what you're saying? There's no...
Yeah, because the last canon thing so there was an episode in Space Rangers, which comes after Turbo, that there's Space Rangers in Lost Galaxy, and I think then Wild Force, or Wild Force maybe later. But the even though Lost Galaxy takes place in the Zordon era and like pulls from those characters and goes from that universe, the Zordon era ends with space.
I see. I remember Space and Lost Galaxy vaguely. And
After
and then it just jumps.
After Lost Galaxy, it became a different Ranger team and had no connection to the Zordon universe until they started connecting them later on with like the Ranger team up episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just some weird mishmash where like some Rangers come from a different reality and the rest of the Rangers have just been like secret teams that like no one, that like some people have heard of and some other people haven't. And there's no kind of like, if I were Power Rangers, like now that Hasbro has the license, like I would stop. I would not use any more of the footage. I would go back to Mighty Morphin and I would tell the stories anew. I would build upon the lore and the cracks that they've tried to fix in the comics. And I would just start anew because at this point, it's just so crazy and convoluted that like you could get someone like me to watch, and like I try to watch just because I am nostalgic for the Power Rangers. So like when a new season, like I'll try to watch it, but like the connections get so crazy, and it's just like it just gets so weird that it's just like I just want them to start anew.
Yeah, I get that.
Stop.
I haven't. Like I said, I haven't watched much of anything. I've seen like the clips of like the big reunions and things like that, and like like I said, like when Jason shows up on the motorcycle. But otherwise, that's kind of. Thank you for explaining that, because like I said, I'm like reading this last night, and I'm like, I don't fucking remember this. I'm like, when the fuck did this happen? So let's talk our pre-Suicide Squad watches, because we talked about John Cena last episode. And this morning I sent you a TikTok of him at the opening premiere in his Peacemaker costume, having the time of his life, and just wholesome as shit is the way I have to word that. Is he is so wholesome on the carpet, where I think it was the video I sent you. It may have been another one I watched after, where they're talking to him. He was like, now they just like, he's like, yeah, I'm having so much fun. I had to show up in costume. He also,
I love it. I love every second of it. I love every ounce of it.
I got to see if this is legit. But as we're talking about this, I
love that he's back in WWE for a little bit. I love that he's gonna wrestle at SummerSlam.
Our first impressions. Oh yes, this is legit. So hold on, we're gonna keep talking about this, but hold on, I have to log into Instagram right now. But first impressions of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. From the first trailer, I was excited. I thought and this comes back to what I was talking about before about things just being entertaining. Something being entertaining enough, whether the story is good or not, for me, just something entertaining.
I was excited about this before there was even a trailer, because it's James Gunn.
Mm-hmm. And that's how I was. And I love the fact that without spoiling things, James Gunn has like brought up that like almost like everybody dies except for like the main thing, like the main kind of like people by the end, which also he posted a photo with most of the cast, which the speculations under the comments were that's who survives at the end of the movie, with who was still in that photo.
So who's still in the photo?
I can also pull that up, but before I pull that up, because I want to talk about Cena for a second, because not only how wholesome he's being with all of this, but this post on his Instagram from the other day, and this is one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. and that he posted this, and he I love that he rolls with the fact it's like, where's like who's that in the back? Like, yeah, where's John Cena? Like, why are you staying there? Like the big thing with the Super Bowl commercial with the Mountain Dew, it's like they paid so much money to make a Mountain Dew float around for a whole commercial. And then I saw this like this morning. And
He
look, why would you just upload a blank background? I wonder who's playing this character. Like,
he
just
joked like people will post like a picture of him in the ring, and he'll be like, "Why are you posting a picture of an empty ring?"
like I love the fact that he rolls with that joke and everything, James Gunn. I guess it might be on his Instagram. I'll pull that up. But I just like I'm so excited for Peacemaker in this. I'm excited for the Peacemaker spin-off show. I'm so excited to see where Cena goes with all of this. And here is that photo I was just talking about. Is that the presumption is that everyone in this photo is who survives at the end of the movie. Where obviously we don't, Pete Davidson is not in this photo. There's
Wait,
another
Polka Dot
one.
Man? No, Polka Dot Man survives.
So that's where like that's the assumption from this photo being posted, that everybody here is just who, like, that's because of like this could have been the end of filming, or they finished the final scene or whatever, and that's who's there. But that's just the theory. That's the rumor with this photo. There is no confirmation on that. We will have to wait until we watch this movie. But that's the big thing with this, which also I want to talk Michael Rooker for a hot second here too, is at the premiere, also amongst the John Cena videos that I've seen from the carpet of the premiere, there's a video of James and Michael Rooker just walking down the carpet, and someone just screams, "Holy shit, it's Mary Poppins!" And Michael Rooker turns around with the biggest smile on his face and waves to whoever, he just waves to the crowd because it just came from that direction, and he loves every second of it, and I like this cast too for this movie. Like I'm honestly, it's an
I
unpopular opinion. I'm kind of over Harley Quinn right now. I'm just a little Harley Quinned out. So
well, she's
this
not dying.
that I do know, and she also is an integral part of the comics of the Suicide Squad. I know that for a fact. So like, Margot Robbie's great. I'm
And
like,
it's one of those things where like, as long as she's having fun playing the character, and she still is,
she's gonna keep doing it.
especially as she gets more creative, as she gets more say, because she's actually making the character more Harley than the studios have been trying to make her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as long as she wants to continue playing the character, like, yeah, you don't kill her off until it can actually fucking mean something, or until she wants to be done.
That,
And then
and
you make it fucking mean something.
I could be wrong, but also like there's a clip from one of the cartoon movies where the Suicide Squad gets wiped out. But I think everybody dies in this movie. I think that's the whole point. Something to do with what the fuck is his name? Doomsday, I think. Or right? Doomsday's not the big bad in Justice League, right? Who was the big bad?
Steppenwolf?
No, the Thanos of the DC universe. You know what I'm talking about? That's not Doomsday, right? Somebody else?
Steppenwolf.
The guy Steppenwolf works for.
Is that Doomsday?
That I don't remember. I'm drawing a blank.
I don't know. It's DC sucks.
But yeah,
I'm sorry.
whatever.
I shouldn't say that. The DC EU is terrible.
Yes.
The fact that the Arrowverse can, I shouldn't say it like that either, but like the Arrowverse has pulled crossovers many times, and the DCEU just keeps shit in the bed when they try to connect their universe together. To the point where they're talking about unconnecting it, which you can't do. You can't do at this point.
I remember too, this is another thing, just scrolling through the internet, I found a clip of Henry Cavill this is a Man of Steel interview. This is the first Man of Steel movie, right? This is before Justice League. This is before Batman vs Superman, where the interviewer asked, like, oh, do you think there's going to be, at this point, probably, just rumors, a Justice League movie? And how would you do it? And he basically gave the Marvel formula. He was like, you have to build up these characters first and not just throw them together. And then a few years later, what did Warner do? They were like,
They just threw them together.
yeah, we're just gonna throw you guys together. You guys got to figure it out. And which is obviously the big part of that failure of that. But when it comes to just
it is an injustice that we didn't get a Ben Affleck standalone Batman movie.
I get so much shit for this, but I actually, despite the fact I didn't enjoy Batman versus Superman, and I didn't enjoy Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'm sorry. The Snyder Cut did nothing for me. I'm sorry, DC fans. It was 3 hours of why the fuck am I watching this? I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I love the actors in the movie, and I thought the characters were fun, and I like the little fan service that happens through the film, but I couldn't give a shit about that movie. It did nothing for me. But my worst unpopular opinion is since Michael Keaton, and I know that's a big popular opinion that Michael Keaton is the best Batman. That set aside, since Keaton, for me, because these are all opinions of mine, do not reflect anybody else's opinions, just my opinion. I loved Michael Keaton as Batman. This could be a child thing of just nostalgia and growing up with Michael Keaton, because watching Mr. Mom, with my parents, and just a Keaton era of movies where Michael Keaton being Batman was just a big thing for me. And of course, Beetlejuice later down the road. But as far as cinematic Batmans go, my favorite one, and in my opinion, the best one, was Batfleck. I thought that he portrayed it, his portrayal of it was the best. Because even with Christian Bale's, and someone sent me a video of someone digging into the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, is just, Christian Bale's Batman was too arrogant and not dark enough. And that was his whole thing, where I thought Ben Affleck did great with the writing that he had, with his acting skills, that he did great as Bruce Wayne and Batman. Because that's the big thing for me, is you can have a good Bruce Wayne and a good Batman.
And do you know why that is?
Because it's Ben Affleck?
Because Ben Affleck knows the fucking source material.
He was supposed to actually write the standalone.
Yes, he was supposed to write and potentially direct.
Yeah, so he knew what he was looking at. That, come on, he's a dude who's friends with Kevin Smith, who is hands down right now in our universe the knowledgeable nerdy guy. That's the guy that you watch for nerd stuff, and he does his research. He's friends with Kevin Smith. So he's got to know the source material.
Not even that he's friends with Kevin Smith. He is a fan. Affleck is a known comic book fan. That's one of the reasons why him and Smith got along.
I just, like I said, it's just, he was, with the exception of Keaton and not even being the best Batman. That's not even what my opinion's on. It's just, as far as portrayals go in recent Batman era things, cartoons set aside, but just live action, I enjoyed Ben Affleck's portrayal of Batman over Christian Bale's. That's just, and I think, and in my opinion, the Nolan ones are boosted up so much is because Heath Ledger knocked it out of the park. And I
could be wrong because it has been a long ass while, but I still think George Clooney is a better Bruce Wayne.
Yes. Yeah, he was a great Bruce Wayne. He was a campy Batman, but he was a great Bruce Wayne.
Well, he was a campy Batman because he was given camp.
Yeah.
He was, if I'm not mistaken, Clooney is also a fan. And if he's not a fan, he was at least given a couple of Batman comics to read, and he was like, this is actually really fucking good. What are we doing? Oh, you don't give a shit? Okay, well then I'm really not gonna give a shit.
Well, that and you know
They put nipples on the fucking bat suit.
that and I will say I at least twice a year to keep myself young and fresh watch a video on YouTube of all of Mr. Freeze's ice puns from that movie. So and it's like 3 minutes. And it's just
Hey,
ice it's just
chill.
yeah. Everybody freeze. Or my personal favorite from that movie. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. And it's just so like I'm sorry, I don't care if it was a good movie. That movie is entertaining as shit.
Man.
But I enjoyed Ben Affleck as Batman, and I am also disappointed. I am with you that we are not getting a Batfleck, a standalone Batman movie. It really does bum me out because I think it would have been great.
He's coming back for at least one more run.
I know it's been confirmed he's in the Flash, right? But you know, I'm still bummed to so there's still time. I don't know if we'll get that in the Pattinson era. I do think the Pattinson one looks good, but I like it more of a true. I think it's more being posted up as a true crime, like Batman's detective skills, detective Batman, and so like I'm kind of excited for that aspect.
Here's my problem with the Batman.
Is that Colin Farrell's apparently only in it as the Penguin for like 3 minutes, which was just announced like last week.
It's the fact that we haven't even killed Batfleck yet.
Yeah.
Flashpoint hasn't even happened. And we're already doing a standalone Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Like with a completely different Batman, a completely different Batman story, a completely different Gotham, no connection to the DCEU.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Money, 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 money.
And like that trailer is fucking weird.
Oh, is it the Nirvana song played in slow that really kills it for you?
No, that's not. That's a trope that like I just fucking tune out at this point.
We're so over it. These just shuts it off.
Well, I shouldn't even say that because half the time like it gets me. So I'm like, okay, yeah. But then but whatever. No, it's just. Why am I supposed to care about an alternate universe, no connection, year 2 Batman? When fucking Batfleck and Michael Keaton are gonna potentially fucking meet in Flashpoint. Why am I to give a damn about true crime, true detective, year 2 Batman?
That and
it's not even against Pattinson because I bet he probably does well.
Yeah.
But why am I to give a fuck about this movie?
That and I feel like a big thing that kind of turns like I'm excited to watch it because
not being a Batman fan.
Like I'm excited to watch it because I'm excited for like the true detective side of like Batman because I feel like no one's really I don't think anybody's really touched on that in any of the films, but I also feel like they're pulling a Raimi-verse kind of thing where we're going to oversaturate with characters because you need to because the studio says put these characters in this movie, despite the fact that like I think like a week ago or even earlier than that, something like Colin Farrell said something that like he's really not in the movie too long. He's not a major player of this movie, but he is there as Oswald Copperpot as the Penguin. But even so, it's like still like we're gonna oversaturate with here's Batman and here's Catwoman and here's the Riddler and here and here's this and then we'll get a Mr. Freeze cameo. Like I feel like that's not confirmed. I'm just kind of throwing names out there.
Here's also another problem I have. I really enjoyed Gotham's Oswald Copperpot. I really enjoyed Gotham's Riddler. I can't think of his real name. Why can't I think of his
Are
real
you
name?
trying to think of the actor's name or the character's name?
The character's name.
Enigma.
There we go, Enigma. I really like Gotham's Enigma. I really liked second best live action Joker. Potentially like on par with Ledger's Joker.
So that actor is actually extremely great, and and my
Cameron
big thing
Monaghan is amazing.
I didn't watch Shameless. I've seen the booby scenes with Emmy Rossum because I love her, and I am not ashamed to say that I've Googled her boobs. I've seen clips from it because it was just one of those things that like I didn't have any streaming to watch it. So once it got to a certain point, I was like, I'm so far behind. Because also Denal Logue's in it. Like I got because I love Denal Logue, I gotta watch it, but I never got around to watching it. But I've seen the clips, and also with Cameron, his big thing, obviously me being a very big Star Wars nerd, is Jedi Fallen Order. Him doing the mocap, the voice, he portrayed a youngling, a Padawan that escaped Order 66 Jedi in this Empire world amazingly. Where it was one of my favorite video game character portrayals since Starkiller in Force Unleashed 1 and 2.
You know what's really smart about him doing that mocap?
What?
Because all of the Star Wars stuff is canon. So if they ever do a movie and they ever just need to use that character or want to bring that character, boom. You have a star that's already attached to the character.
I am hoping, because I don't know, you can touch on Bad Batch at a different time.
I haven't watched it.
It's a lot. All right,
I've been a super bad Star Wars fan.
So without spoiling it, because it's great because at least for me, like it's still like this is obviously tail end of Clone Wars era into the end, in the beginning of the Empire era of things, while still giving you the nostalgia of the Clone Wars Rebels, which obviously Dave Filoni did Clone Wars and Rebels. But a lot of the episodes so far, until you get to like the bigger story, like plotline episodes, have been a lot of filler with a little nods. Like, not to, it's not really a big spoiler, but I will spoil like this part, and it makes you feel for a character that you wouldn't normally feel for. There's an episode where they rescue the baby Rancor for Jabba the Hutt. Because they're basically mercenaries now, and they rescue this adorable little Rancor who's just being a rambunctious little scout, for you to know and understand that Luke kills that thing in 30 years. And now you understand why the one guy cried his eyes out, because this Rancor was like, just had his head crushed. And I sat there, was like, bullshit. Fuck you. Why did you do this to me? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what did I do to deserve that? That you had to throw this into the episode and be like, hey, do you remember that Rancor that Luke killed that you thought nothing about? We're going to give it a personality, and we're going to make you feel bad. It's like, come on. What are you doing? Like, why? But it's good. It's good enough that, like, because it's not going to be a long run series. It can't be. Without having to put forth effort of retcons and this and that. But
I have a Star Wars theory when you're done.
But
I just wanted to let you know.
But being my big era, regardless of how good or bad the prequel movies were, my favorite era of Star Wars is the Galactic Republic Clone Wars era. Video games, the books, the legends, all that era of things, I love. I love those stories. Not saying that the prequels are better than the original trilogy. None of that shit. That's not what I'm getting at. It's just my favorite era, which could just be because I technically grew up seeing, obviously, the prequel era in theaters. Like, that's just like a memory that I attach to. But the prequel era and the Galactic Republic era is my favorite era. So for me, I thoroughly enjoy this show. Everything that's been put out between kind of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope with the exception of Rogue One, because like I got to sit down and watch Rogue One again because I didn't like it. I didn't find it like it's not that it was a bad movie kind of thing. I just didn't enjoy it. My favorite part of it was the Darth Vader scene at the end. But that just could be like I'm trying not to be a toxic Star Wars fan and be like that movie was shit because it wasn't. It wasn't shit. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed everything else.
See, here's how I know I'm not a toxic Star Wars fan. Because I enjoyed 7, 8, and 9 for what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people give them slack because they were tasked with an insurmountable task that just became more insurmountable when Ryan Wilson left, or not Ryan Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
When he left, and then JJ had to scramble to tell a story that he wanted to tell. And it kind of goes into my Star Wars theory because I know a lot of fans have this feeling that like the next trilogy is going to be something new. And I think I even might have said that too, or at least I said I wanted something new. But the more I thought about it, and then it just hit me because, okay, so what opens in spring 2022 at Walt Disney World?
Oh, dude, I live in Florida, but you're asking the wrong dude. I have no idea. Did I miss out on something?
The Star Wars Galactic Cruiser.
Oh, really?
The interactive 2-day hotel stay where you essentially live out, like you can live out a Star Wars story and stay on a Star Cruiser in space for 2 days.
I am very upset I didn't know about this. I got a guy. I'm making a phone call today.
Good luck. On top of that, how much money did they drop into that? How much money did they drop into the Black Spire outposts at both world and land?
Mm-hmm.
How much money have they dropped into all this stuff? And then they're supposed to. You honestly think, with all this money that Disney has spent, that they are going to go away from the Skywalker saga? Oh, we may be done with the Skywalker saga, but we are still living in this same universe. Too much money has been spent on these Star Wars lands for them to be like, okay. And maybe they could. Maybe they'll take that fucking risk and they'll just add on to it. But I really can't see Disney being like, we just spent all this money for the Star Wars universe in this galaxy, and now we're going to show you a brand new galaxy with brand new people and brand new planets, and it's not even fucking called Jedi and Sith. It's called Marklar and Buckluck. No. Not going to happen. And you can be angry all you want at the fact that, oh, this is Disney ruining Star Wars. But do you think Lucas would have fucking left to tell different night? No! Let's be real. We are going to be living in the same galaxy. The Millennium Falcon will be seen in a background shot. X-Wings will exist. Too much money has been spent on this shit.
That, and it's funny because like I wasn't
sorry. That was like that was the realization that happened in my head, and I was literally just like I was yelling at myself inside my head a couple days ago, being like, "You really think that they're gonna do a new saga? Like they could do a new saga, but we're continuing in the fucking Skywalker universe."
What I enjoy though with where they could go, and this is just me scrolling through the internet the other day. And it was one of the Star Wars pages, and the guy comes on there because obviously you've got a toxic fandom. And so, like, real quick, is when the sequels came out, yeah, was I disappointed? Sure. But that's because I personally had hyped these things up in my head to be something bigger and different than what they were. rewatching them now, all I do is in my head, I just separate them as their own entities, and I enjoy them. I enjoy them. I still, every fucking movie and film, like they're all gonna have like issues, and obviously when you have different directors and writers, there's some things that don't overlap. Whatever. Ignoring that, my biggest gripe was actually how they did, Finn and Rose real dirty with their characters in Rise of Skywalker. But otherwise, like I'll watch them and I'll enjoy the movies. I have no gripes about that. I just have my personal, in my opinion, favorite era. That's all. That's all it is for me. But with this video that I saw the other day, is everybody got pissy when Disney took over and you had all these books that were part of the quote unquote expanded universe, right? And then they stamped them as legends. And the person in the video had pointed out, if you open any of the books pre legend stamp, right? On the title page at the bottom of the page, it says these works are not canon. Basically, to kind of paraphrase it, these works are not canon within the Star Wars universe. This is the writer's telling of just an interesting story within that universe. And to expand on that even more, the guy in the video had mentioned, here's the way you should look at this, is Disney didn't ruin anything. If anything, they made it better by calling it Legends, because these are those stories that Rey heard about. Like, these are the stories when they talk about, like, Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon. That's the stories in Legends, and that's a great way to look at things. I was like, wow, I never had a problem with them being called Legends anyway. But that is a great way to look at it, is that think about it in the cinematic universe of Star Wars, these characters that heard the stories of Luke Skywalker and Boba Fett and everything, that's the stuff you're reading in the books as legends, as exactly what they are to the characters in the cinematic universe, as they are legends that they have heard around the galaxy about these mystical heroes amongst everything.
And there's
But
nothing wrong with that.
no, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Actually, if anything, I love it even more. I don't think Disney's ruining anything. Come at me, fucking nerds. Like I don't think Disney's actually ruining anything. You're always gonna have writers wanting to. Everybody wants to tell their own Star Wars story about how they think things should go. Everybody does, but I think, for me, it's just enjoy all of it for what they are. All I want to do is I eventually just want to have enough money to go to Disney and build my own lightsaber. That's all
Same.
I want. That's all I want in this world, is I want to lose enough weight to finally fit into my Jedi cosplay, because I do have one, but it doesn't fit around my midsection. And I just want to go dress as a Jedi, build my own lightsaber, and I'll attach that fucking rat tail. I'll get one and I'll take it off as I build my lightsaber and dub myself a Jedi Knight. That's all I want in this world. That's all I need from it. But I don't remember where we were going with this. But Bad Batch is fun. Is what
I don't
I was
either.
getting at. Bad
I'm
Batch
sorry.
is,
I'm cleaning up because my lady's coming home sooner than I was expecting her to.
Bad Batch is fun. Well, let's cut this off here, and we will come back next episode. We will absolutely touch base on Clerks 3, because I keep forgetting about it. Not forgetting about it, but we just keep going on tangents.
Yes.
We will also, next episode, we will give you, lovely listeners, our takes on the James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and let you know how this all
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited too, for us to have something that's like coming out that we can talk about. So everybody, we thank you for listening. We thank you for checking us out and hanging out with us. We will see you guys again next Friday.
I love you all.
And be sure to like and subscribe. If you go to @ThisIsNoiseMedia on Instagram, there is a link tree in the bio. If you click that link, you can find our YouTube. You can find our separate anchor.fm channel, which is what the host that we use to upload our episodes, which will give you where to listen to the podcast because it's right now still distributing. It is on Spotify. It's on, I think it's on Castbox, on a couple other different podcast listening sources. But if you go
Platforms.
to, yes, thank you. But if you go to @thisisnoise media, that's where you can find the show. And that's all the link in the bio for all of that. And we'll be back next episode. I'm like, that Star Wars rant on both of our ends just kind of like I need to like lay down. I'm like, I don't know what just happened with us, but I'm just like, was I supposed to do something after this? I don't remember.
We started blasting into that, and then I had some housekeeping, which I thought I had a couple more hours to do. And then all of a sudden it was just like we ranted a little bit.
Yeah, we kind of we both just unloaded there. That was and now I'm just kind of like burnt. But again, we thank you guys. Please be sure to like, rate, and subscribe. If you'd like to get a This Is Entertainment shirt, you can find that at teespring.com/thisisentertainment. And we appreciate all your support, and we will see you guys next week. I'm going to make sure Deeds can say goodbye before we play the outro here. Because we got to get Deeds' bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.